Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Wild Sonnets Out Loud. My name is Nicholas Korn, and I am the poet of The Wild Sonnets. Every week I choose 2 poems from the 6 books of Wild Sonnets, and I read them here. My first selection comes from The Wild Sonnets Volume 3. The poem is a musing or meditation on the notion that everything is made of atoms, and atoms are made of motion. We'll let that spin us into Wild Sonnet number 257. What consolation can it be to the atoms that I am, whose ever orbiting and labor are to make the world seem solid, only to know that every element and level larger too is turning? Were the arching particles of revolution to decide and cease, would this be reduced to nothingness or peace? And so the circling of the mind must have its way of winding, must think itself to thickness, and suppose that supposition with supposing is made real. Though there is a centre to all things circumspect, at what point does our compass and fixation come to see we are made more of motion than of constancy? And that was Wild Sonnet number 257 from the Wild Sonnets Volume 3. The next Wild Sonnet is from the 5th book in the series. An artist friend of mine told me about a bird called the swift that for 3 of the 4 seasons flies in the air and never comes to ground. It even drinks, eats, and sleeps in flight. And that lands us here at Wild Sonnet number 442. The blind in us demands to see at most perfection. Better to wish for the wonder in the wild, for that is everywhere the open eye can seize upon. There is a bird that flies 3 seasons of the 4 and never settles on the spongy ground, but sleeps in flight, sups on hovering bugs, and sips the rain at height. Could we squarely sense the exquisite and swift surrounding us, know the light and dark for the miracle and mystery it is, we would fresh from birth to our faint and final breathing find no words but those to be transcribed as thanks. Search the feathered air to find its flaw. Everything is aerial and has its element of awe. And that was Wild Sonnet number 442 from the Wild Sonnets Volume 5. I hope you've enjoyed the 2 Wild Sonnets I've shared in this episode. I want to thank you for watching. I'll be back in a few days to share 2 more poems in the next episode of the Wild Sonnets Out Loud. Until then, stay wild and stay well. And if you'd like more information on the Wild Sonnets, including how to get the books and downloads or read my interviews and more, you will find it all at www.wildsonnets.com.